What's up everyone, Dr. Jacob Wilson here, the Muscle PhD, and today's question is about flexible dieting. Does it have a place in bodybuilding? And if it does, how do I use it? Okay. Now, before you watch this, I would definitely refer you to my If It Fits Your Macros video, because in that video we discussed essentially macronutrients. We discussed the fact that basically it's not as simple as tracking macros, you know what I mean? Like having broccoli and chicken is going to be a lot different than eating a bowl of sugary cereal, you know what I mean, with a protein shake. It's totally different, okay? So definitely watch that video, okay? But there is an extreme, essentially, where basically there is zero flexibility in your diet, where basically you see the bodybuilder and the only thing that they can eat, they go to, is, you know, broccoli, asparagus, chicken, and the chicken has to be boiled, you know what I mean? And you're getting this very extreme approach where almost a bodybuilder or athlete feels that they have to suffer in order to make gains, okay? So what is flexible dieting? It essentially introduces, like the term says, essentially some variation in your diet and allows you to have a lifestyle to where you're not the oddball out, okay? I see a lot of bodybuilders isolate themselves out from society, and a lot of my good friends, a lot of the pros I've been around, like literally can't function in society. They can't go out because they're terrified of doing it, and flexible dieting kind of allows you to address this, okay? So first off, I wanna say this, okay? Those are two extremes. Is there a happy medium? And the answer is yeah, there's definitely a happy medium, okay? So flexible dieting basically says that like you can, in essence, go out with your friends and say, you know what, like I'm gonna go out with my friends tonight. You know, I know that I'm essentially probably gonna have a few drinks. I know maybe I'm gonna eat a little bit more calories. So in essence, maybe earlier in the day, you modify your diet, so you might be intermittent fasting. Your intermittent fast is a little bit longer that day, right? And then at dinner, you know, maybe you're not having as much fiber in that meal, okay? But a lot of bodybuilders go, oh my God, it's the end of the world. Well, no, you went out with your friends, you had some fun, right? But your macronutrients weren't that much different because you essentially shifted them to later in the day, okay? I think in that case, like if you're going out with your friends once a week, that's nothing to get, you know, stressed about, okay? I think bottom line is this, that like if you're constantly stressed about, oh my God, I had to get my meal at 8 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock in the morning, you know what I mean? 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I think that the stress of doing that actually increases cortisol and inflammation more than, I'm gonna go, what? I busted my behind this week. I trained hard this week. My diet was on point this week, right? I'm gonna go out with the boys tonight. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go out with the girls tonight. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna enjoy myself. That stress relief in a flexible approach is actually a lot better. You know what I mean? Another example is like when I travel, for example, if I had to travel on the weekends, it's almost impossible to say, oh my God, I'm gonna get 6 meals and they're all gonna be perfect and I'm gonna have 30 grams of protein, 30 grams of carbs, and they're gonna be at a ratio of this to this on fiber. Every single meal, it's kind of impossible when you're traveling, okay? So again, using more of a flexible approach, I know I'm gonna go out to a big business dinner. So yeah, I didn't have as many meals that day. I only had 2 meals that day. But in general, I hit certain macronutrients throughout the day and my calories were roughly the same. That's a flexible approach, okay? So I think that just like work, get your work in throughout the week. Make sure that for the most part, you are hitting your macros in a responsible way. When you're going out with your friends, it's okay. And I think that's the point about a flexible approach, is that like you have one extreme where it's like I can eat, you know, ho-hos and Twinkies every meal. That's the extreme. You have another extreme where I have to eat broccoli and asparagus every meal. And then you have the guy like Paul, for example, who, if you look at most of his meals, he's having salad and chicken most of his meals, right? But Friday on Saturday, he has a flexible approach. You know what I mean? He basically has a little bit more flexible approach. he eats a little bit healthier earlier in the day and he goes out at night and yeah, he has a few drinks. That's a flexible approach, okay? The other thing I think to think about is this, is that it also depends on time of year and objectives, okay? So when your approach may not be as flexible as, you know, when you're 6 weeks out from a contest. Sure, you're 6 weeks out from a contest, you probably should get into a zone and probably make sure that everything's dialed in. If you're off season, I think it's perfect to do what we just talked about, having more of a flexible approach, okay? You know what I mean? Or if you're going on vacation, having a flexible approach or being more of a flexible dieter during your whole vacation, I think is a way to do it, 100%, okay? So take-home messages, guys, is this. You can't stress yourself out every single meal. I think it's going to lead to more elevated cortisol and inflammation anyway. On top of that, studies show that people who are strict every minute of the day constantly drain essentially what's called their self-control system in their brain, okay? It is draining all the time. Those people, when exposed to something like cookies or cake, actually have a higher probability of binging on the cookies, brownies, or cake than the guy who was flexible like Paul, okay, who was good throughout the week, you know what I mean, and had a few drinks at night on a Friday. Paul comes out to a cookie, he might only have one. The guy who's constantly strict every 5 seconds might binge all out and ruin their whole diet, okay? So again, adopt a flexible approach on vacations, maybe once a week, when you're in the off season, and really make it maybe more strict closer to contest time. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you next time.